New Year to all our Fight Lens subscribers and viewers. We're back, first interview of 2025 with George Groves. George, how are you doing?
I'm good, I'm really good. It's good to see you, good to be back. How was your Christmas, how was your New Year?
Yeah, all
feeling
good, thanks.
Yeah,
can't complain. It seems like longer than 2 weeks ago, doesn't it, that USYK and Fury ran it back out in Saudi, but it is only 2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah. No, maybe even less. I think it hasn't been long.
Yeah.
Feels pretty fresh. And it feels a bit frantic. We got back from Saudi. I was lucky enough to be out there working and got back. It wasn't quite the nick of time. I had a bit more time to spare, but didn't miss Christmas.
Okay, lucky.
So yeah, back to family life. Come crashing back down, and it was a great week for me. But out in Saudi, a great week for a lot of people. It was not a great week for not a great week for Fury and his team.
Fury, no.
But, great show.
A great fight, yeah. Lived up to the billing, did you think?
Yeah. I think obviously there was a lot of drama in that first fight. It was so much drama. That was like the amazing build up and amazing fight. This fight still, with the size of the two men involved, being heavyweights, you're still sort of on the edge of your seat. Anything can happen. It ebbed and flowed. There was times where USYK looked like he was taking over, and then Fury looks like he's taking over, much like the first fight. No one seemed to get as hurt or as buzzed as they looked like they had been in the first fight, but still, fascinating fight, and USYK picks it up. They won an 8-4 split, 116-112.
As you predicted, to be fair.
All three judges, yeah. Did I predict them cards as well?
I think
maybe, yeah.
You were suggesting that was the way it was going to go. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think Usyk's the better fighter. The only question mark would be the size, really, and that's just his size in general. He's not the biggest of heavyweights. He's a blown up cruiserweight. There's even been talk apparently of him wanting to go back down to cruiserweight, which I think is just like nonsense. There's not a cruiserweight out there who doesn't want to go up to heavyweight, fight Usyk, and try and become a heavyweight world champion. It's the biggest prize in sport. Yeah. So that was interesting. But good show, great fight, and it's fascinating now to see where these guys go.
Yeah, it's kind of settled the debate now really on that front. But we saw Daniel Dubois getting in the ring straight after the fight, which is a bit. I'm not sure how Usyk felt about that. It's just gone 12 rounds with Tyson Fury. He's got Daniel Dubois in his face saying, let's have it, let's run it back. So do you think we'll see that next?
We could do, and you wonder what the motivation now is for Usyk. Because, the other champion in the division is Daniel Dubois. But he's only a champion because Usyk got stripped and Usyk's already beat Daniel Dubois.
Yeah,
so,
that's it.
Dubois still has to get past Joseph Parker, which is a tough fight in itself.
Yes.
Joseph Parker's in great form, Dubois is in great form. You'd have to, no one's just going to shoot from the hip and make a prediction about that. You're going to have to go back and study the form and try and get in each fighter's head, see who's going to come through that. If Parker comes through it and Parker's the champion, then Parker Usyk we haven't seen yet. That'd be a lot. Maybe that has a little bit of interest behind it in that respect. But I think momentum's with Dubois. He's a Brit. He's doing really well. He's sort of coming out of his shell more now, and there's a different vibe with his sort of trash talking.
It's true. He's definitely got it going on a bit more than he used to.
He's livened up. He's switched up, and it's refreshing from Dubois. I'm really enjoying him as a person, him as a fighter, and his performances of late. And Usyk, he's just a bit of a robot in that respect, isn't he? He shows up, he wins, moves on to the next one. Yeah. He travels, nothing seems to faze him, nothing seems to get to him.
That's it, that mentality is just steel, isn't it? Just cold steel, yeah.
You'd find it hard beat to back against him, wouldn't you?
Yeah, sure.
Even at his age, the way he's fighting, I don't see any major chinks in his armour. I don't really see him getting particularly old at this point. I'm sure the training sessions take a little bit longer to recover from. Maybe the fights take a little bit longer to recover from, but he's still there, isn't he?
Yeah,
and he's the number one in the world, the best fighter of his era in the heavyweight division.
They're talking about Martin Bakole maybe being the man that could actually maybe give him some trouble, but everyone seems to be ducking him, so we don't really know how good Bakole is.
That's a great shout, Martin Bakole, who's, I feel like he's took a little bit of time to arrive. I remember people were being really excited about him, and he fought in London at the York Hall against Michael Hunter.
Yeah.
Hunter, like way back in the day, and Hunter beat him.
Yeah, he lost, didn't he?
Hunter's a very good fighter. You know, one of those guys who's a bit smaller but can box in the heavyweight division. McCauley now, he was Jared Anderson, wasn't it?
Where
that was
down
his
3 times, didn't he?
His big breakout win of late.
Yeah. Hasn't fought since then.
Has he not? No.
No,
I don't think anyone wants to fight him.
That's the problem. Yeah. He's being ordered to face Efe Ajagba to be the mandatory challenger for the IBF title next. So if he wins that, maybe he's got a bit more behind him.
Yeah.
We'll
So they're all going down this IBF route, which a lot of fighters do. The IBF mandatories are a little bit more regular, and so you can force your way into a title shot sooner that way. And maybe that's the way that McCauley has to do it, because, you know, he's much more commercially sound than he was before since that big win against Anderson. But, you know, he's still got to be in that who needs him club, you know.
That's the problem, yeah.
You know, he's a big, strong, physical man. He's fit, he punches hard, he looks strong. So, not the most gifted fighter in terms of his, you know, his panache and style and finesse and flair, maybe. But he might be the one who beats Usyk, who knows?
Yeah,
you know?
we'll have to wait and see. What about Tyson Fury? Where does it leave him? He's going to be obviously sorely disappointed. He couldn't come up with the goods that he, you know, thought he could, and Frank Warren thought he deserved more from the judges. But now for him, is the Anthony Joshua fight potentially? But
he fights Anthony Joshua next.
You think, yeah?
Yeah, I can't see either man, Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury, retiring without fighting each other.
Yeah.
Or fighting on.
It's too much money to be made for a start.
And I think you know, they're all from humble backgrounds. You know, they'll appreciate the payday, and the carrot, in my opinion, that is the defining point for them two to fight is the winner can say he was better than the other man,
yes,
you know, and the best Brit of their era. And that debate has raged on. It wasn't that long ago that everyone thought Tyson Fury was the man. It wasn't that long before then everyone thought Anthony Joshua was the man. I'd like to see them two fight, and I feel like, yeah, sure, both guys probably past their peak, but still got plenty left out there to
still be a great fight.
To show a great fight. Now, the winner comes out with, bragging rights. The loser, it is a real sort of kick in the nuts for their legacy. The pressure's on for that fight, but no doubt they'll run it back twice. If there's anything interesting enough in the first fight, they'll do it twice. It will sell out.
Wembley or Riyadh? Do we reckon?
Yeah, well, I think it could be Wembley to start with. Yeah. You know, it could be Wembley in the summer or the late spring, but I think that makes sense to be over here, and I think it will get just as much coverage as it ever would have had. You know, everyone will be talking about it. All the media outlets will be covering it. Everyone will be doing a podcast about it. You know, traffic will be driven in that direction.
Hugely.
So I've had that debate recently with people saying, "How can you say it's still a big fight, still as big as it always was?" It's like, in terms of the interest, it's still going to be there. Like, the casuals will still know about these two, and they don't care about what belts are on the line. Exactly, they just want to see these two fight.
It's like Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Like, it happened eventually, didn't it?
Like, it happened eventually, and I think it broke loads of records, and it was a massive, massive win for both guys.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see about some of the other undercard fights. Moses Atoma, huge win for him. Big potential. Lots of people hyping him up now.
And I think rightly so.
Yeah.
I think rightly so. I mean, you know, you're always sort of sceptical when guys are getting hyped up, but the first time I'd ever heard of his name was that he, at 15 years of age, was, you know, travelling down from his home, I think is he from Essex or South London or something?
Yeah, around.
And he was sparring world champion Lawrence Okolie, and at 15 years of age, I was like, what? Okolie's a dangerous man. You don't put 15-year-olds with him. Like, he's one of the hardest punchers in the division, one of the hardest punchers out there. They're like, no, this guy's special. And then at the tender age of 19, he's just stepping through the levels effortlessly. I thought he looked great on the undercard. They've been talking about him trying to break Mike Tyson's record of becoming the youngest, the new youngest heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
And obviously then they've got to put him in with Daniel Dubois, I think. And they're both under Queensbury, both with Warren. Is that a good move for him? Maybe not. I don't know. But he's, I mean, you can't fault him. He can box. He's big. He's got power. He's ticking every box.
He's going to get bigger, you'd think, as well. Like being so young.
Yeah,
So.
he doesn't look mature yet.
No.
You know, he doesn't eat, and he's stopping guys. You know, not with just bum rushing them or with blurring hand speed. He makes those moves. He lands those shots and he puts them away. So his toughest job out there is probably to guide his next year, matching him up and bringing him on. But I'm a big fan of Moses Talma.
We saw on the undercard as well, obviously Johnny Fisher, Romford Bull, and Dave Allen, White Rhino.
Yep.
Huge credit to both of them. Enthralling match, enthralling fight. Controversy around the judge's decision, but like we spoke about earlier, early in the fight, it was Johnny Fisher winning the rounds. Then the knockdown happened in round 5, and then Dave Allen kind of took over in the latter stages of the fight. What did you think about the judge's decision, and were you as shocked as some people at ringside?
Yeah, I thought Dave Allen was a little unlucky. I thought the rounds were very clear to score. And then 10-rounder, I had it 5-5, but with the knockdown, Allen gets the win. Yeah. But it's boxing, and
it's subjective, isn't it?
It's subjective, and Johnny Fisher will live to fight another day. I think he had a couple of injuries throughout the fight. I think his eardrum went, and that affected his equilibrium. He gets caught and dropped, and certainly buzzed, but showed a lot of character. A lot of. It's not even bravery. It's just resilience and toughness to get through that, and that's definitely who he is. That's who he is. You can't really learn that. That's what you've got.
It's just how you're born, that's the bull in him.
He's a Romford Bull. I know he's got a rugby background, and he's just a big, strong guy. But he got sort of old manned on the night by Dave Allen. And that old man reference we use in boxing is just where those guys who know how to pull and push you, poke you, slide past you, evade the shots, hit you. Some shots were coming around the back of the head, some were coming a bit low, some were coming here. Roughhouse tactics. And they weren't for me. He almost pulled it off. I think he definitely has the right to feel disappointed, Dave Allen, about not getting the win. I thought on the night, he had won. Yeah, as I say, I thought with the knockdown that had scored him the fight. But that's boxing. But not necessarily the right move to have it next as an immediate rematch with Johnny Fisher, but back to the drawing board, make some improvements. He made a couple of mistakes in that fight that he needs to address. But that as a potential rematch at, say, the O2 Arena,
huge fight,
mid to late part of this year, that's a huge fight, and I think Fisher's handled it very well.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you see the reaction on Twitter and people calling it robbery.
Yeah,
and shouting out this and that.
He hasn't disappeared and said nothing. Yeah. He hasn't come back and tried to, argue with people. He sort of held his hands up and said, but it's not his fault. He's got the decision, and
sometimes it goes your way. So there's nothing you can do.
Exactly. So, I think he's a good guy. He's a bright guy. He's an exciting fighter. He's good to watch, Johnny Fisher, and I hope that. The fight out in Saudi against Dave Allen makes him a better fighter. He goes back to drawing board, improves as a fighter, and then use that experience to push him on in the future.
Yeah. We've seen Eddie Hearn complaining about judges' decisions recently, so maybe this one will cheer him up a bit. But Gareth A. Davis called it a disgrace, but in your view, not a disgrace, just a close decision that went that way.
Yeah, I mean, Gareth, I thought it was. I scored Allen the winner, but that's boxing sometimes. Sometimes, you do lean, towards the prospects. That they're the ones with the future, and how deeply damaging it can be with a loss.
It's surprising that none of the judges scored it a draw, though. 2 went for Fisher, 1 went for Allen. I think you could have seen.
I think it's just a one round swing that most people probably pick for Allen, and then they've gone the other way.
Yeah, because of the knockdown, it's a 10-8 round, isn't it? So it's harder to score it a draw. Yeah. Fair point. Also on the undercard, should have been on the undercard, Dennis McCann, but he failed a drugs test. Dr. Usman involved once again. I don't know how much you know about him, but slightly controversial figure, maybe someone that
Yeah, I mean, who else has he been linked? I know he's been linked to a few people.
Yeah, there was, Amir Khan was linked with him, wasn't he? And then someone blamed on herbal tea. There's been all sorts of excuses, but really there's too many of these situations happening with Dr. Usman, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know hardly anything about him, but I recognise the name. I wouldn't be able to point him out. So I don't know what he looks like. I don't know. I'm
big
not
lad,
sure that
big lad. I've seen him on social media. Let's put it that way.
It's still that herbal tea you drink, I suppose. Like, so you have to. Yeah, I mean, we want to eradicate it from sport, and we want to get, especially from boxing, and we want clear answers as people within boxing. I'm an ambassador. I suppose I should know more. I'm an ambassador for UK anti-doping within boxing. I need to get my head in the game now and figure out who these people are who are cheating. But you know, for someone who spent his whole career paranoid about having a failed drugs test because of drinking fucking herbal tea, we wouldn't drink anything that wasn't factory sealed. There's no. You couldn't have water around that you're helping yourself to fight weak.
Protein powders that.
Anything. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't see how these guys keep getting accidentally testing positive. It's not that. Maybe they're pushing the boundaries on what is acceptable, what is on the limit, because it is a complicated stuff. A lot of the time people are testing positive for stuff that the body produces naturally, but they've got too much of it in their system, so they're taking a synthetic version.
Right.
But at the same time, it's it's sort of privilege as well, because it's people's medical sort of side of things, so they're entitled to to not disclose the full details about everything, and it makes it just frustrating for us boxing fans.
We was chatting to your fighter Lucas Rowerig earlier, who made his pro debut. Great win for him. You must be careful of kind of what you recommend to him as your fighter. Did you used to get like knocks on the doors at 7 a.m. with the testers coming around to?
Yeah. So I was on the system, the UK anti-doping system, through my amateur boxing, because I boxed, fortunate enough to get to GB level. You're on there. I've been testing since I was 14, 15 years of age, and because of that, I sort of knew a little bit about the setup. I knew I had to be careful, and I knew, what you think are the basics, but maybe people don't know. So you got to know this, and don't buy protein powder off a dodgy website. If anything's like mass, discounted, it's always a bit sketchy and a bit risky.
Good point.
And there is nothing that is legal that is an actual game changer. The game changer comes from working hard in the gym, the coaching that you can receive, and your attitude.
That's it, exactly. There's no shortcuts in boxing.
Exactly.
You've got to put the hard yards in. Elsewhere, Conor McGregor and Logan Paul, apparently a £500 million fight. Have you heard about this?
Oh.
Yeah, it's a rich Indian family are putting 250 million on the line for each fighter to get it on. I think it's to do with the Indian tourism board. So yeah, I mean.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, crazy money.
That sounds great. I think both guys would definitely have a bit of that. If it happens, who wins? It's got to be Logan Paul, hasn't it? Logan Paul's. He's the one who's wrestled as well,
right.
yeah.
He's in the WWE. Yeah.
Right. So I'm not sure how much boxing he's done.
Maybe not as much as his brother, to be honest.
Yeah. So Conor McGregor, decent boxer. Decent boxer. Been involved in boxing enough times. Held. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Who do you think's going to win that?
I don't know how much he's done since he fought Floyd Mayweather, to be honest. But like you said, he put in a decent performance that day.
Yeah.
He did get stopped eventually, didn't he? And Mayweather was in his.
I hope it's like 3-minute rounds.
Yeah, proper.
Not like the Mike Tyson one we saw later. It was like 10-2s or something. 8-2s. They're going too quick. I want like 3-minute rounds.
It should be.
Or 5-minute rounds.
Yeah, there's no excuse for these two.
Just keep fighting.
That's it. There's no 58-year-olds involved this time.
No, exactly.
There's no excuse for it to not be proper gloves, proper rounds.
I think what we're waiting for, we haven't seen yet, is like a proper triathlon type thing. So it could be like first round boxing, next round wrestling, and the last round like anything goes.
Yeah,
UFC style. Or they could do like a bare knuckle boxing last round or something.
It's brutal, couldn't it? Yeah, I think I'm up for that. Yeah, let's make that happen. Why not? Mix it up.
And if you're getting paid that much money,
we deserve
take the danger out. Exactly.
That's it. But I mean, what shape is Conor McGregor going to be in realistically, knowing his lifestyle the last few years? You can bring it back though, can't you? A solid training camp, you can get back to that.
I'm sure he's highly motivated. Put him on a win bonus. So strip that right back from that $250 million or something. Just so strip it back, you're getting $8 million, and then a win bonus, 242.
George Groves, financial advisor.
And then we see what shape he comes in
That's
then.
a very good point. Because otherwise, if you turn up with nothing to gain by winning, you just.
And we'll have Dr. Usman on call, and we'll keep the rest of them and keep Varda and Wada and that out the picture.
Love it. Darren Till is now fighting Anthony Taylor instead of Tommy Fury, because Tommy Fury pulled out, I think, citing the Darren Till's threats to kick him in the head if he was losing the fight. So that's why that one's gone.
No one wants a kick in the head if they start losing the boxing match. So
exactly, you can understand.
But it kind of, I think when that fight got made, I was like, this is actually going to be quite a good fight. Darren Till, I don't know, I don't follow a lot of the UFC stuff, but he sounded like he was up for it, and I thought he must know how to box a bit. He's from Liverpool, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, Liverpudlians boast them have boxed at some point. They love boxing, they can fight. So if he's in with, and the chap he's in with now,
Anthony Taylor.
Is he a boxer as well?
I think, it's kind of not top level, but at some point. But it's weird because Tommy Fury was the A-side fighter, so he didn't have to pull out. He could have forced Darren Till to pull out, so maybe he's got some other plans, but...
Yeah, it could be.
I don't know. We don't know about that. What else we got? Derek Chisora against Otto Wallin. I saw USYK said that Derek Chisora was the hardest puncher he's ever faced. It was like being hit with a baseball bat, which is pretty amazing. Yeah. He's a solid unit, isn't he?
Yeah, Del Boy, yeah. I mean, he wings them left hooks in real good. Yeah. He gasses a little bit after a few rounds, but he's always been dangerous. It would surprise me if he's a big man in Derek Chisora, so if he wings one in and catches you, it might hurt. But that just might be also just a little dig at Joshua
AJ, dig at the rest.
Fury, yeah.
Could be. Jack Catterall against Arnold Barboza. What do you think about Jack Catterall? Top
Catterall's a really good fighter. He's beaten good fighters now, and Barboza's a good fight. So I think for a while you wondered, like, he had that controversial decision that it felt like he couldn't get over against Josh Taylor, and then you thought that's going to stun him forever. But he got that rematch, he got that win, and he's had some good names on his record since. So he's in good shape.
All right, just some quick predictions in case we don't get to speak to you before the Riyadh season card on February 22nd. It's obviously the rematch of Beterbiev and Bivol. How do you see that going? First fight was a classic, wasn't it? But hard to kind of split them. Yeah,
I mean, I remember at the time, it was close. I can't remember if I scored it a draw or not. I know people were outraged that Bivol didn't get it, but it felt close enough that it could have gone either way. And I thought both guys showed each other a lot of respect, and therefore we didn't get the best version of that fight. We might get a better version next time.
Yeah, hopefully.
It'd be interesting to see if Beterbiev's he's getting older. I think he pulled out again, no, he didn't, did he? No, someone said that he pulled out, but he hadn't. But that fight's coming up. Bivol might be better. Wouldn't surprise me if Bivol gets the nod this time, and then we get set up for a third fight. I think I'll pick Bivol for that.
Okay, that was one where Eddie Hearn wasn't happy with the decision, was he?
Yeah,
very disappointed. Poor Eddie. Did you see him out in Saudi when you were out there?
Eddie doesn't get a lot of wins when it comes to the Saudi setup, really, does he?
Frank Warren seems to get him.
Frank Warren gets the majority of them, and then, even when he does get his lad does get the win, like Fisher, he
gets locked on social media, doesn't he?
I mean, Eddie used to, change his karma up when it comes to something needs to change for him.
Shakur Stevenson. Saw him. He was on Frochon Fighting the other day. I don't know if you saw it, but
I haven't seen it yet.
No. Future world champion.
Yep.
Definitely high prospect, top future. But who's he up against? Floyd Schofield. I don't know how much we know about him.
Yeah, I haven't got into the depths of figuring out Schofield yet, to be honest. I know the name, and I think I've seen bits of him. But Shakur Stevens is just a fantastic fighter, very, very good fighter. He's always going to be tough to beat, and may go through the divisions and dominate. But there's a lot of good fighters out there at the moment in and around those weights. So, but I'm really looking forward to that, because I think we'll get to find out a lot more about Shakur Stevens.
Hamza Shiraz, I think it was actually that was on Fortune Fighting. I think
Yeah.
I got one. Is that correct? Yeah.
Shakur Stevens is world champion.
Yeah, exactly. He is, isn't he? Yeah, that's right. And he's on Matchroom.
Right,
obviously.
yeah. I haven't seen that one either, though.
No.
But
Hamza Shiraz,
got,
great.
got to catch up on my Fortune Fighting, to be honest.
You got your own podcast.
Yeah.
We should promote that as well. Yeah, tune into that too. But yeah, Hamza Shiraz, brilliant prospect from the UK. And, huge future of him.
He's just really improved drastically in the last 2 years, but maybe more. I remember talking to him on my podcast a few years ago.
Let's give it a name, the George Groves Boxing Podcast.
George Groves Boxing Club podcast.
That's right.
And he was explaining about how, he's living, I think it might have been an Airbnb out in America, he's living the life and, really committed to it. He's bored out his head just sitting around waiting to train and investing every penny he's got in, training camps and whatnot. And now it's really starting to pay dividend because he's a huge middleweight, and he's just knocking them over, it's a big fight he's got coming up. There was talk of the Chris Eubank Jr. fight coming off as well, and I've seen a clip of them two together at the last Ring Magazine launch party. I think him talking to Turki Al-Sheikh, and he's saying, when you two going to fight? That's what it looks like he's saying, and I'd love to see that fight. Definitely. But I think Hamza Shiraz, definitely a world champion and
huge prospect
in the making.
Have we heard anything about Conor Benn when he's going to be in action? Because the Eubank Jr. fight is the one that everyone seems to want for 2025, but you're not too keen on it, really, are you? I seem to recall.
I'm up for it. I think it's got to happen. I'd like to see Conor Benn back in action.
Because now he's cleared to fight again.
He's cleared to fight, and I think we just want to see him fight. Whatever you can make your mind up yourself about your thoughts and feelings about what it was, whatever happened. But essentially, he's as good as served a ban, where his career's been stunned and hasn't been able to progress as he would have liked. So let's see him back in action. I'm not sure why there hasn't been an announcement yet, really, to be honest. If he's been cleared to box, I thought, right, cleared to box. Yeah. And straight away we're going to hear, Ben Eubanks announced for February or this date or that date. But
still nothing
knows?
yet.
Maybe both guys want to have a warm-up fight beforehand. And I'd like to hear some news, some positive news.
Bring it on. Bring it on. We need to see it. It's been 2 years and 3 years in the making now, so let's hope we get it this year. But just before we wrap it up, a word about your fighter, Lucas Rohrig. Made his professional debut. Not easy, but a good performance, a stoppage, and you must have been very proud and impressed.
Yeah, very proud. It was 2 debuts that night. His debut and my debut. My debut in the corner
as
a trainer. So I was
point.
like,
Other side of the coin for you.
Yeah, other side of the coin, and I'm learning on the job, of course. And I matched him in with a chap called Joel McIntyre, who I've seen box for the last few years now. I've commentated on his fights. I've watched him from ringside. It was only after the fight was made, a friend of mine said, "And you've sparred him?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I've sparred him." I keep forgetting who my sparring partners are. But so a tough test, former English champion.
Yeah, so 2 times English champ,
Yeah, and he's been in and amongst the domestic scene for quite a while, and he's a winner. And he's coming off the back of a first round knockout win. I wanted him to fight someone who I knew, but someone who I also knew would come to win. Because that is the way that you want to, be built within the professional ranks. Yeah. Everyone who's coming to watch and support, I want them to know that there's risk involved in this fight, there's danger involved in this fight, and the guy he's fighting, he's going to try and take his head off. Yeah. And then we spoke with Joe after, and he was like, I thought this guy's either going to be red hot, or they've made a terrible mistake. He thought, I'm going to come and knock him out. He was almost insulted that he'd been matched against a Davison.
Right, I see.
Lucas came out.
Quickly felt the power, though.
I think he did, yeah. I mean, Lucas we've been drilling him in the gym. I've been drilling him hard, been working him hard in the gym for months now. Just wanted to make sure that when we do make that professional debut, everything is in order, and then we're gonna just keep flying through fights. Hopefully, if everything goes right, we can get momentum behind him. But came out, stuck exactly to the plan. don't take no free shots, get that jab working. You can beat up your opponents with a jab,
Yeah.
believe it or not. Any other prospects out there, you know, I'll tell you, the jab does a lot more damage in the pros than it does in the amateurs. So from there, once you've softened them up, once you've felt the distance, once you've set the pace, then you can start bringing those big right hands, big left hooks, body shots in, etc., etc. And he did, and he forced McIntyre to be pulled out after 3 rounds, couldn't make the 4th. So really impressive win. We're really happy with him. And now, 6 weeks on from his debut, he's going to get his next fight, which is going to be February 1st. Wembley Arena, it's on the Sky Sports card,
Wembley,
part of the Boxer production. Adam Azim, you know, if we're in the Dale Youth ABC, this is where Lucas is from, this is where I'm from, this is where we train. And Adam Azim even spent a considerable amount of time here as well. So it's nice, he's got that familiarity for us all.
Sure.
He's headlining, he's in a great fight at Wembley, and you know, he's someone who's moved relatively quick as a fighter. He's a really young age, already fighting at championship level, already won a European title. So, you know, these things can be done. We talked about Moses Atalma earlier. You know, you don't need to rush it, but at the same time, I think the days are gone where you spend 2-3 years beating guys who are not there to compete, and then you're thrown in with a real fight against another fighter, and you forget what it's like to get punched in the face.
Yeah.
So just keep the momentum going. Really happy with him. He's flying. So yeah, if you haven't caught on to him yet, tune in and
check it
follow
out.
the journey.
February the 1st, it'll be on Sky on the Boxer card. Yeah, Lucas Rohrig, one for the future, but also one for the present. So yeah, it bodes well for him, and obviously being around you, former world champion. Like I said, Adam Azim. So yeah, good momentum just as a whole for the gym.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, we still train. You know, I coach down here on a Sunday. Lucas comes down here on a Sunday. So, you know, he's only just turned pro, so he knows everyone down there. You know, you build from the ground up. Really, 100%. It's a grassroots club. You know, we're fortunate to get a lot of talented fighters come through here. You know, my old coach Mickey Delaney, he's still in here. He's still producing champions. So,
generations.
You know, it just keeps coming. And he's there now, Lucas, to inspire the next group of fighters who are going to come from this affluent but very tough part of West London.
Yeah,
so we're looking forward to it.
All right, well, remains to be seen. But yeah, tune in. Lucas Rohrig, February the 1st. George, thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Pleasure again.
Thank you.
Thanks.